Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn Tosfos Dibra Maschel V'chein Beguma. Let's begin by looking at the flowchart of the Gemara so we can see what Tosfos is coming to explain. So here in the Gemara, Abaye asked Rav Yosef, Beguma Mai, what about a pit? Ula taught that a post that's 9 tfachim high, that's in the Rosh Hashanah, is considered a Rosh Hashanah. So Abaye asked Rav Yosef, Beguma Mai, what about a pit that's 9 tfachim deep that's in the Rosh Hashanah? Is it also a Rosh Hashanah? And Rav Yosef responded, V'chein Beguma, a pit is the same, just like the post that's 9 tfachim high is a Rosh Hashanah, the pit that's 9 tfachim deep is also a Rosh Hashanah. So this is the part of the Gemara that Tosfos is coming to talk about and explain. And let's see now a general outline of Tosfos. Rav Yosef said that a pit 9 tfachim deep in the Rosh Hashanah is the same as a post 9 tfachim high in the Rosh Hashanah. They are both considered a Rosh Hashanah because the public will use it at times. So there's one part of Tosfos, which is Tosfos will explain and prove that if the pit is less than 9 tfachim deep, it's also a Rosh Hashanah. We know by the post, it's specifically if it's 9 tfachim high, then it's a Rosh Hashanah. However, if it's lower, it's more difficult for people to use it, and therefore it's not part of the Rosh Hashanah, and the public won't use it. However, by a pit, Tosfos says, when we say the same as by a pit, it means to say even if it's 9 tfachim deep, it's a Rosh Hashanah, and certainly if it's less than 9 tfachim deep. So let's see Tosfos now in the flowchart form. So the Tosfos is referring to what it says in the Gemara. Rav Yosef said, V'chein beguma, that a pit is the same as a post. So explains Tosfos, and it's in a purple arrow pointing upwards because it's explaining what the Gemara says. It's a teaching on what the Gemara says. And he says, we can say that, V'chein beguma, a pit is the same, means that even if it's 9 tfachim deep, it's a Rosh Hashanah, because people use it when they're pressed. One way of understanding V'chein beguma is like what Rashi said, that just like the post when it's 9 tfachim high is a Rosh Hashanah, so to the pit when it's 9 tfachim deep, it's a Rosh Hashanah, but specifically 9 tfachim high and specifically 9 tfachim deep. Tosfos says we can also say it means that even when it's 9 tfachim deep, it's a Rosh Hashanah. And for sure, if it's less than 9 tfachim deep, since it's more comfortable to use, a pit that's 9 tfachim deep is less comfortable to use than a pit that's 8 tfachim deep. A person doesn't have to bend down as much. So Tosfos now presents a second way of understanding the Gemara. There's the way that Rashi says, that specifically if it's 9 tfachim deep. Tosfos says another way of learning the Gemara is that it's saying even if it's 9 tfachim deep. And then Tosfos continues on and supports this way of looking at it. And it's in a light blue arrow pointing upwards because it's proving this point. And this also seems to be the case because we say on the brisa that we bring down that V'chein beguma, a pit is the same, also refers to the Seifa. Later the Gemara brings a brisa where it says that if a person had a box in the Rosh Hashanah that's 10 tfachim high and 4 by 4 tfachim wide, he's not allowed to carry from the box to the Rosh Hashanah and from the Rosh Hashanah to the box, because this box is a Rosh Hashanah. The brisa continues and says, Pachas Mekain, if it's less than 10 tfachim high or less than 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim wide, then a person's allowed to carry from the box to the Rosh Hashanah and from the Rosh Hashanah to the box. And the brisa concludes and says, V'chein beguma, the same as by a pit. Now Rava interprets that V'chein beguma only refers to one case of the box. But Rav Yosef is going to say, simply and straightforward, that it refers to both cases. So it comes out, the brisa is saying the same as by a pit, just like by a box. If it's less than 10 tfachim, a person is allowed to carry from the box to the Rosh Hashanah and from the Rosh Hashanah to the box, whether it's 9, 8, 7, 6, or 5 tfachim high. Same as by a pit, whether it's 9 tfachim, 7, 8, 7, 6, or 5 tfachim deep, a person can carry from the pit to the Rosh Hashanah, from the Rosh Hashanah to the pit. So Tosfos says, and this also seems to be the case, that it means to say even if it's 9 tfachim deep, and certainly if it's less, because we say on the brisa that we bring down that v'chein beguma, that a pit is the same, also refers to the Seifa, which indicates that any pit that's less than 10 tfachim deep, one may carry to and from a Rosh Hashanah, just like by a box, just like we said by the box. If it's less than 10 tfachim, anything less, he can carry from it to the Rosh Hashanah and from the Rosh Hashanah to it. So the same as by the pit, if it's less than 10 tfachim deep, anything less, 9, 8, 7, 6 tfachim deep, he could carry from the pit to the Rosh Hashanah and from the Rosh Hashanah to the pit. So just to summarize Tosfos presents an alternative way of learning the Gemara. Now when we say V'chein beguma, it doesn't mean so too by a pit only when it's 9 tfachim deep, it's considered a Rosh Hashanah, but rather so too by a pit even when it's 9 tfachim deep, it's considered a Rosh Hashanah, and certainly if it's less than 9 tfachim deep. And Tosfos continues on and brings the support to this interpretation from what the Gemara says later on.